Have you ever placed your phone somewhere, walked away from it, and felt like you're missing out on something? Have you ever mindlessly placed your phone, switching from one social media app to another, and started the process over again? Have you ever frequently checked your phone to examine how many likes you received on your latest social media post? If you answered yes to any of these questions, you might suffer from social media addiction. I'm an engineer. Developing computer apps is something I did as part of my work. I have seen how hard these social media companies work to create effective practice to get more customers addicted to their social media apps. Tammy and I often use many social media apps, and both of us have agreed that many things have flourished with the use of social media, but many things have also diminished. In this presentation, we will elaborate on the impacts of social media addiction in our life. We will start with the definition of addiction, then we'll talk about the causes of social media addiction, then we will wind up by discussing the psychological and physical effects of social media in our life. Now, to start with, we will see what addiction is and specifically what social media addiction is and some statistics related to that social issue. For most of the people, the use of social media is non-problematic, but for some people, it's problematic. According to Steve Sussman and Alan Sussman, two psychology professors from the University of Southern California in Los Angeles. In a simple definition, addiction is being highly devoted to a person or activity or engaging in a behavior habitually could have positive or negative implications. This is an outline we created from an article titled The Online Social Networking and Addiction, published by in the National Journal of Environmental Research and Public Health by Dr. Darius and Dr. Mark Griffiths, two psychology professors from the University of Nottingham Trent Research University in England. When we look at the different types of internet addiction, social media addiction comes under cyber relationship addiction. When did science call social media addictive? Social media addiction is a behavioral addiction. Neuroscientists have compared the use of social media to a syringe of dopamine injected into our system. An analysis updated this month by Statista, an online statistics portal, shows that there are 4.59 billion people worldwide are using social media now. According to a survey done by Influencer Marketing Hub, an online media company, shows that from this 4.959 billion, there are 333 million people worldwide are addicted to social media. An article from Addiction Center titled "The Social Media Addiction," two experts from the field of addiction science shows addiction science, Dr. Jenna Hilliard and Dr. Ashish Bhatt. They mentioned that due to this effect of dopamine in our brain, social media is addictive both physically and psychologically. So the question is this social media really making us social or not so social? Next, we will see how social media use impact our emotions. There are many models that explain how social media use impact us psychologically. One model is socio-cognitive model. In that model, social media use is due to positive outcome expectations and limited internet self-regulation. The artificial aspects of social media can have real-world cognitive and social consequences for vulnerable people. So, eating disorder is one of the examples. Social media used to promote eating disorder pictures like this, but now if you search the phrases like anorexia in any of the popular social media, instead of showing you the picture, they will show you helpline information. Now that you have heard from me, I'll pass this on to Tammy to continue the speech.
According to the cognitive behavioral model, social media addiction results from maladaptive conditions. With a bachelor's art degree from the University of Florida in English literature, Hiller found her purpose in educating the public and wrote an article about a case study performed by California University. One of the cases stated that 27% of children spending 3 hours per day using social media have symptoms associated with poor mental health. Let's look at some more psychological factors of social media use. Professors who worked in the psychology department at the International Journal of Environmental Research and Public Health of Notre Dame Trent University presented new ideas to social media addiction, like the phantom text syndrome, where a ring or alert is heard and even felt by a user even when there isn't. Another one, extreme fear of missing out, FOMO, which is the extreme fear of exclusion. Nomophobia has been defined as no mobile phone phobia, the fear of being without one's mobile device. And phugging, it decreases interpersonal relationships by decreasing empathetic ability and communication skills. Finally, we want to tell you how social media addiction impacts us physically. Harvard University takes a closer look at the underlying science of why our smartphones and social media are so hard to ignore. Well, that dopamine affects us physically. So dopamine plays an important role in our body movement. Low presentation skills, presence for online social interaction over face-to-face communication are a result of social media addiction. And then more screen time means more eye discomfort, and non-exercising seated activities may result in significant orthopedic effects. Screen time and holding a smartphone can affect posture and musculoskeletal discomfort. Cragen, a doctor at Mayo Clinic, which is a nonprofit worldwide leader in medical research and education, even has concerns about potential vulnerability to children to radio frequency electromagnetic radiation fields are increasing as children are exposed to more wireless devices. And is rising, children are considered potentially more vulnerable to radiation fields because of their susceptible of their developing nervous systems. To finish off, I'd like to reiterate the effects of addiction and social media. Since we have seen the impact of social media in our lives, it is up to us as users to decide how much of our time we want to dedicate to social media. We have been able to look over social media addiction in detail, then covered psychological effects social media has on us, and ended with covering social media how it affects us physically. If you answered yes to any of our initial questions, when you pick up your phone and check social media next time, along with using the immense advantages of social media, you might ask yourself, is this really worth my time?